Hello and welcome to another inspiring edition of Diaspora Network, where we celebrate Nigerians making remarkable strides around the world. I'm Teniola Oyetayo. On today's program, we turn our focus to creativity and entrepreneurship in the arts. Our guest is Toyosi Oloe, founder of Toyo Rights, a self-taught artist whose custom abstract pieces, affirmation art, and large-scale commissions have graced restaurants, hotels, and galleries around the world. But before we hear from her, let's take a look at what's making headlines across the global Nigerian community.
Nigerian Dr. Olufemi Ayeni has been named a member of the Royal Society of Canada, class of 2025. Dr. Ayeni, Canada Research Chair in Joint Preservation Surgery, is an internationally renowned orthopedic surgeon whose groundbreaking research is advanced joint preservation care across the human lifespan. He joins the Royal Society of Canada's College of New Scholars, Artists and Scientists, a prestigious body that recognizes mid-career leaders making transformative contributions in their fields. Nigerian chef and culinary star Hilda Baci has set another Guinness World Record, this time for preparing the largest serving of Nigerian-style jollof rice. Baci and her team cooked up an astonishing 8,780 kilograms of jollof rice, drawing thousands of spectators to Victoria Island, Lagos, and capturing global attention. This achievement follows her earlier Guinness World Record attempt for the longest cooking marathon. On the track, Nigeria's Ezekiel Nathaniel has made history at the 2025 World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. The 21-year-old stormed into the men's 400 meters hurdles final with a stunning time of 47.47 seconds, becoming the first Nigerian man to reach the event's final since Henry Amike in 1987. And in the women's 100 meters hurdles, Tobi Amusan claimed the silver medal, finishing in 12.28 seconds behind Switzerland's Detaji Kambunji, who set a new national record of 12.24 seconds to win gold. Amusan's performance marked a powerful comeback after disappointment at the Paris 2024 Olympics.
This week, we spotlight Nigerians shaping the world through art, culture, and design, from bold abstract painters and illustrators to interior stylists in transforming spaces. Take a look.
Nigeria has risen to prominence as a vibrant hub of contemporary art, cultivating a new generation of visionaries whose impact resonates well beyond the nation's borders. These trailblazing Nigerian artists are not only shaping the global perception of African creativity, but are also redefining the language of innovation and artistic expression on the continent. One standout is Tokene Peterside Shwebig, founder of ArtX Lagos, West Africa's leading art fair. Tokene's platform has become a global hub for showcasing African artists and connecting them with international collectors and galleries. Joining her are other trailblazers, such as Adenrele Shonariwo, the visionary behind Rele Art Gallery, with locations in Lagos and Los Angeles. Adenrele is passionate about nurturing emerging talent, providing opportunities through her arts foundation, and bridging Nigeria's creative scene with the world. Graffiti artist and designer Osa7 has captivated global audiences with his striking murals and collaborations, showcasing the versatility and modernity of Nigerian artistry. Finally, painter Babajide Olatunji delves deep into cultural roots with his hyper-realistic portrayals of Yoruba traditions, earning international acclaim and exhibitions in countries including the UK and UAE. Together, these artists and entrepreneurs are not only advancing the arts, but are also ambassadors for Nigeria, telling its stories with innovation, passion, and pride.
And now to our guest, Toyosi Oloe, the creative force behind Toyo Rights. From teaching herself to paint to completing major commissions for businesses worldwide, she's been recognized as one of the top 100 female entrepreneurs to watch.
Toyosi Oloe is an award-winning artist and visionary entrepreneur whose work redefines modern abstract art. She founded Toyo Rights, an art and design e-commerce platform that curates a wide range of offerings from decor and mixed media art to bespoke commissions, illustrations, and art styling.
I came from a comfortable family. My grandma was a nurse. She owned a nursery in Ibadan. So lots of children were around the family, lots of playing with kids, my cousins. I have a big family, lots of cousins all over the world. We actually all lived on the same road in Ibadan when we were growing up. We have a lot of birthday clashes in my family. So twin birthdays from my cousins and I to even my mum and some of her nieces. It was very strange. Like we have this in sync family dynamic. My uncle is a doctor and he was actually very impactful in my mum's birthing season when it came to me. So it was amazing having family members who were professional doctors and nurses and that kind of thing. My brothers, I have two brothers, so I'm the middle child, only girl. Unlike my brothers, I was the only one born in Nigeria. They were both born in the UK. So I felt that affiliation to my roots. I really love going back home, going to Nigeria around December time. When I think about my parents, their journey was beautiful. They met and fell in love in Nigeria, and then my mum was born in the UK, so she was all about going back to her roots, kind of similar to me how I like to go back to Nigeria. My mum's name is Bimpe Olowe and my dad is Adewale Olowe, both professional lawyers and engineers. That's their background. So I'm kind of different being the first creative entrepreneur in the family. When we got to the UK, I went to school at St. Joseph's. It's a primary school in East London. We started living in East London and we moved around in the borough. My mum was really looking for a larger home because we needed more space and we just were trying to really settle into the UK. From that point, I then studied, remaining in that same borough. I went to a grammar school in East London. All Saints was where I studied, around Romford area, East London. And then from All Saints, I went to an all-girls school called Sacred Heart in Hornchurch. That is actually originally where I wanted to study from primary school, but for some reason my mum was more, my dad actually wanted me to study at boarding school. That was the difference. That's where that Nigerian route actually came in. My dad was really keen on me going to boarding school, but my mum, being the tender nurturer, doesn't want her kids out of her sight. So we stayed around the area. That's where they had a little bit of disagreements. But in the end, I also made some of my best friends in these schools in East London, and then went to an all-girls school for sixth form. Focus time, no more mixed schools, no boys involved. And from there, from my time at Sacred Heart, was preparing for university. And then I went to Warwick University, where I studied law and business for 3 years. During my time at secondary school, my art teachers noticed I was very gifted and talented with the art. My parents had actually always nurtured me to be very academic, given their background in law and engineering and being doctors and nurses in the family. So that's kind of where I was very much pushed and nurtured to go. And it was fine because I was very academic. I was intelligent, smart kid, you know. So I was like, makes sense. But I was also very creative. Whenever I come home from school, I'm in my art books, drawing all night, forget the time. And then I wake up and it's time to go to school. So, but I was never nurtured to pursue creativity. It was kind of like a hobby, a pastime in my household. However, around the time I was in year 8, I think call it 2008, my art teachers were like, you're very good at this. We're going to put you forward for a summer school. In the summer, I told my mum and she was like, why not? Because I also did piano after school. I had tuition. So there was lots of extracurricular stuff. So she saw it as another way to just expand my, you know, time. Until I got to university, where I then started to be the go-to girl for filters and Snapchat designs. Everyone used to come to me to design like their event filters. So I started to get my creativity back again because I felt like I was using it in design and technology. So there was the whole tech boom around that time. So I felt like, okay, I'm creative, but in like a tech way. And then it was a hobby still, but not drawing, no painting. It was like I paused that season of my life for years until 2020. I studied law and business at uni between the years 2013 to 2016, and my degree was 4 years to qualify in law. However, I knew from my first year that law wasn't for me, so I was just going to do the 3 years and pursue consulting, because at the end of the day, Warwick is a great uni, it's Russell Group, and the big four firms are going to hire us anyway. Of course, it's not easy getting a job overnight, but it was a career path I could pursue. So straight away, my mum, being the momager that she is, was helping me nurture my career path. And one of my cousins had an internship at a big four firm. So she told me, this is the firm that you should consider applying to. Your cousin's been there, and I think you can have a great start in that firm. So I applied in the summer, because summer internships were a big deal in 2016. And I was offered a role if I was to get a 2-1. So it pushed me to get through that law and business degree, knowing that I actually had a great job, graduate job, waiting for me as soon as I graduate. And I got the job, thank God. And from there, I started my career in the big four, Canary Wharf, big city, skyscrapers, KPMG, Canada Square. It was like a big deal. And everyone in my family was so proud. I can't forget how proud my cousins, my uncle, my mom was so proud of me, because it was like really following the professional routes that they all kind of had raised me to follow. And then from there, I realized that corporate is good. I understand corporate, but I started to feel empty. There was a longing inside of me that I hadn't tapped for many years, considering that summer school experience was like 2008, and all I did was follow like my academics up till uni. Into my third year at KPMG, there was like this huge void in me. I was stressed. I felt unfulfilled. I started to rotate around the firm, and I noticed that there were creative teams happening. So I was in the more UX design space at the time. And then I saw that there was a more creative team. And when I saw it, I specifically asked a manager if they could interview me internally, because I was in a different part of the business for the role. They interviewed me and they asked me to draw live as a scribe, as they call it. I drawed and I just showed them, because I was seeing what they were doing in the C-suite meetings, and they would contract artists to live scribe. And I saw the way they were drawing, and it was amazing, but I knew that I could do it, even though I hadn't nurtured my skill for a while. So when they interviewed me and I tried, they were so impressed, and they were like, wow, you're really good. And obviously, as an internal hire, they're saving money. So for me, it was great. For them, it was great. So they hired me for the role. And that's when I started to really cultivate my art again. And I was like, wow, I'm doing this at the company that I got this job, and I was amazed. And then they were so impressed that they hired an artist to train me on the role for like 6 months. I was being trained by one of the best artists in the UK, Doug Cameron. And from that point, I started to fall in love again. And I was like, wow, without knowing a global pandemic was going to hit 3 months into resigning. So it was a huge, huge moment of what have I just done? Like, what have I just done? People were being laid off here and there. Recruitment was being frozen in COVID. Recruitment was being frozen. So even leaving a job wasn't smart, because they weren't going to hire you anyway. So at the time I left, I was feeling great. But by March 2020, when COVID hit, I was like, what is going on? Because this is just the fun to have for now. Like, I had left my mum's house. I had moved out of home because I just wanted this new chapter. But I didn't know the world was on a standstill, and I was literally going to have to face the paintbrush and say, hi, we're going to have to make some sales now. Living alone in my studio apartment in London, and I have my own space, but I have no choice but to stay indoors, because that's all we can do. I have to let the world know that I no longer work in the corporate space, so that they can know that what I'm selling now, because that's my bread and butter. And I just put it on Instagram and told everyone, I'm this person, I'm this artist. Of course, my Warwick friends and my friends from home are like, what is going on? She's always worked in corporate. A few of my friends know I'm super creative, so they weren't shocked. But everyone was like, what is happening? So it was like a really crazy time, but it was literally do or die. Like, I don't really care. I have to eat. So I had to let everybody know that this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm selling. So my business started as referrals, word of mouth, Instagram posting, and it did really well, because everyone was at home and people wanted to see art. People wanted to see different things like that. So COVID was a great boom for me, because I had endorsements from social media like Megan Good and Grace Byers, who are like huge actresses in America. That allowed me to grow in a different market, which was America, and really own a new space and really build a name for myself outside of this corporate lawyer girl that was who I was before.
Her creations are not only visually captivating, but also deeply emotional. often layered with affirmations and rich cultural narratives. Through her brand, TW, she has earned recognition and endorsements from Wayfair Global, John Lewis, Hollywood celebrities, and global CEOs alike.
When we return from a quick break, Toyosi Oloe shares more on how she turned passion into purpose and built a thriving creative business on the global stage. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us on the program. Now more from our conversation with Toyosi Oloe, including her tips for aspiring artists.
What was amazing was I studied law and business at uni. So starting a business, I completely had all the foundational knowledge to do it well, though it was just something I had never sold before, which was art. So I was painting, I was drawing, I was making prints, digital prints and posters, a lot of posters, framed artwork, commissions, creative stuff that people could bespoke style, like something that nobody else could have because your name would be on it. That's what I was creating. So that's why a lot of people would come because they want their name. I did a very, one of my bestsellers at the time was Define Me. Define Me was like an affirmation where you would have your name and a definition. I would do it for thousands of people. And that print was around maybe £50 at the time, but I would sell lots, thousands of them, and they would all be for different people. So that was what was really started to sustain. And because that piece was doing so well, I also did that piece for Megan Good, and that continued to push that particular piece out a lot, especially in COVID. Megan was so kind as to promote my brand to the world on her social media, and her celebrity friends also began to email and contact for orders, which was out of this world amazing. And from that point, the referrals and recommendations kept going. And America was a huge hotspot for me as clients because Megan was based there and a huge amount of her audience is American. In terms of some of the pieces, as I started to grow my brand, I understand that art is a luxury market, and some of my clients are clearly celebrities and shop luxury, live luxury. So from a business aspect, I wanted to now start to pivot from like cute prints, affordable, to like a whole new segment, which was luxury art. That's how I started to get some high-end collectors, which is the whole art game. Like when you want to start being more lucrative, it's not easy, but it's all about branding and positioning, pricing. And some of the art pieces, even though not all my collectors are public, like I can't say all their names, but for some of them, pieces will sell for five-figure art, five-figure paintings for different collectors in different parts of the world. With business, it's really important for visibility and PR. So with my entrepreneurial drive, and once COVID has gone, 2021, we're outside now. So it went from selling indoors, selling e-commerce, to meeting customers in person, doing pop-ups at John Lewis, partnering with interior designers across London, from John Lewis in Bluewater to John Lewis in Croydon to John Lewis in Bermondsey to John Lewis in Oxford Street. Having these kind of pop-up experiences, that's when I started to meet my customers, and they were really telling me how much they love the art and what else I could do and how else I could work. So that was really pivotal as well in business, because it was less, I was very like removed, whereas now I was very much involved in like the business process and understanding customers, which is really good because I did customer experience in the corporate world at KPMG. So tying that to entrepreneurship and selling art and stuff, it all very much was in the same mix, in the same world. So my art has evolved from prints and very simple words on a page and line arts, which was very trendy in the decor space at the time, because I was very focused on making sales and profit, which is why I'm a bit different as an artist. I'm kind of more like commercial minded, as opposed to this is my style and I don't care what else. Like I will do what sells as long as it fits my vibe and it fits the aesthetic I'm going for. So I've evolved from something simple to sometimes abstract to sometimes bold and bright and strokes and paintings, and also not just about me and my art. My art and my brand is an ecosystem of other artists. So I work with galleries in Nigeria to sell to collectors. I work with artists in London to bring them to Saudi-based clients. I work with artists in Dubai to get them Saudi clients and different clients all over the world, in the US as well. So when it comes to my art, I'm all about bringing art and African art to the forefront, because that's my passion. That's where a lot of my colors come from, my color choices, my shapes, my silhouettes that some people have seen and noticed in my style. But at times, if it's a client brief, and I can turn my art, or the word is, if there's a specific client and they have a design style, I will still try and meet their brief, but I will bring in some of my style in order to not lose what I'm trying to sell and who I am as an artist. I have been an entrepreneur since 2020 and have grown my business across borders from 2020 to now. Coming to Dubai was a decision I was pondering on in 2023. I hadn't left, but I came here for 1 month just to see how it would be. I went to Art Dubai, you know, the big art fair, World Art Dubai as well, to just see the art world, the appetite for art in this part of the world. Another reason for coming is how much they love decor and real estate and interiors. And it's big in London, but it's booming in Dubai. That was one of the main reasons for moving. So Dubai has been amazing. So as soon as I got here, all I wanted to do was network, because that's the entrepreneurial journey. I have to meet people, let them know who I am. And it was great. Within 6 months of being here, I secured my first deal, which happened to be in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, which was the Moonshell Cafe. And with that, it was a whole decor refurb where I was coming in as an art consultant, coming in as an artist and decorating this vegan bohemian themed cafe. Not only that, but to really like give their restaurant an up, like a vibe, so that their customers will see this beautiful art. It was like having a gallery in a restaurant. And that was my first project here. And I was so excited because not only was it outside of Dubai, but it was like an untapped location that I really didn't at first consider, but also always wanted to go to Saudi at one stage. So that was my first project here. And because of that project, I brought in artwork from other people based in Dubai, Columbus, another one of them, and his art style was very beautiful. So some of his art is also staged in that cafe there. Apart from that, I would attend like the VIP networking for, you know, Art Dubai and go to different fairs, meet people in the art scene here, look at the galleries, Al Sakal Avenue, check out the galleries there. And I think the Khalij Times PR piece was one of the best things, because my visibility here in Dubai had really come through. Like I was being seen in their publications. They were saying to people, this girl is here, this woman is here, sorry, and she's here showing her art. And she's making an impact. She has African roots, and this is what she's here, and this is what she's done there, but this is why she's here now. And that was really amazing, because from that piece, a lot of people were getting in contact, a lot of networking opportunities were happening. And I think why I love Dubai is because it's so organic networking. I feel like there's a fluidity to meeting people, which London's great, but I think the grey skies can sometimes make us a little bit more closed off. Whereas I can be sitting in a restaurant, minding my business, hand my business card, and by the end of the day, I'm networking with someone in another region just because the connection flowed and because you were just warm enough to speak. And that's so quick and so easy here, and I've really experienced that here. But in terms of the art space here, there's so much appetite for art, and it's a lot about just meeting the right people and putting yourself forward for projects. I would say being Nigerian is so well tied to my identity. First of all, my name is Toyosi. So as soon as I introduce myself, some people are asking, where's it from? Where's that name from? And even if I want to disown my Nigerian side, straight away, I'm telling you I'm from Nigeria. And I think that was really powerful from moving from London to Dubai, because it's like I never lose track of that part of my identity. I think my parents were very sure to do that. There is a massive role that Nigerian art is playing globally. And for one, when I participated in the Black Christie's exhibition in London, there was a host of Nigerian artists involved in that conversation. And Christie's is a massive art auction house. And to be within that room showcasing African and specifically Nigerian art across these walls where millions of pounds have flown through and sold for art, that is a moment where we are clearly involved in the conversation. And it was an honor to be involved in that moment. But apart from that, how I've seen it across the world is I'm coming to Dubai, I'm seeing galleries owned by Nigerians here in Dubai, and I'm seeing moments where we have an entire gallery that's just about African art on the walls. And part of my vision here is to continue to push that narrative. And I'm seeing that a lot of people are not only buying African art, but they're seeing the value of it because there's so much richness in the culture. And there's a narrative that we speak about in our paintings, in our pieces. I think it's more than just seeing our colors and some of the things that we use. I think it's the story behind each line, each stroke. When I've spoken to artists myself, it's like an abstract piece is so stunning, but when they go into the detail of why that piece is the way it is and the villages that have shaped that piece, or the number of people that come into that, the appetite here people love a story, and that's why African art is so rich, because there's a story behind each painting. It's more than just, oh, I felt at peace and I wanted to create this. It was like, this goes back to my ancestry. This goes back to the village that raised me, the people that came together. And I think that's where I've seen collectors I've personally spoken to, and galleries and conversations with art enthusiasts that they love. And it's the narrative. One thing I love about being Nigerian is we are taught from young to be excellent. And that's what my parents did. And I think that's why I was able to navigate corporate to creative quite well, because it was all about being the best somehow. And what I've noticed in the diaspora is that we take that same excellence wherever we go. So young Nigerians can really contribute to this Nigerian narrative abroad by just being themselves. I think when I think about how I moved here to Dubai, as soon as I came here, I was looking for the first place that sold jollof rice, if I'm honest. I was looking for where I can chill, I can go to church, so many different things. And these were important to me because those are my roots. Those are part of my culture. And I think as being part of the diaspora, this is natural. It's just not losing touch with those important things, because that is what community is. And I think within all of us, being young, being old, being Nigerian, community is part of our culture. And I've found that here in Dubai, because for instance, we know that it takes a village, to raise anyone. So as soon as I relocated, my mom was contacting her friends to tell them that Toyosi is coming to Dubai. My cousin was calling her husband's friends to tell them that Toyosi is coming to Dubai. And the beauty of that is that we watch over one another. And I love that, because it's like a very protective culture. It's like, look out for one another, brother, sister, even though we're not even the same family. And I think if we keep that going, wherever we travel to, we will never lose the essence of being Nigerian. Whatever industry we're in, if we're tech bros or creative queens, we are always just family, quote unquote. I am currently doing a lot of consulting out here in the Middle East and abroad. I'm doing a lot of mood board creation for different clients, and that's how I bring some of the African art into these spaces. I'm also working with some interior designers out in Nigeria, Abuja, Lagos, where that whole interior vibe appetite is really booming. And I feel like I have some exhibitions lined up. So there's a lot happening at Toyo Rights.
And that wraps up another exciting and inspiring episode of Diaspora Network. To watch more episodes celebrating Nigerians in the diaspora, visit channelcv.com or our YouTube channel. Until next time, I'm Tenyola Oyetayo. Thanks for watching.